Thank you for joining us. I'm Clara Benitez Cortez. We are bringing you a recap of the year with a wide variety of stories we covered in 2024. We start with the top 7 stories of the year.
It was a disappearance that shook the Yearender community, as well as the rest of the coastal bend. On March 4th, Texas A&M Corpus Christi student Caleb Harris vanished right before spring break. The search for the New Braunfels native went on for months, until
employee with the city water department located these human remains.
The Corpus Christi Police Department confirmed the human remains found in a wastewater lift station in June was in fact those of Caleb Harris.
You got it. Take it away.
On June 13th, beloved Robstown native and a pioneer of Tejano music, Johnny Canales, passed away, bringing the community together to mourn the loss of an entertainer who entered the homes of many throughout the country. As the summer heat raged on in Texas, 2 children became the victims of being left inside a hot car on a hot August day. A sleeping toddler is left in a hot car by her mother as she went to work at Tom Brown Middle School. According to police documents, the mother claiming she forgot to take her daughter to daycare and remembered nearly 5 hours later. The little girl was pronounced dead shortly after at Driscoll Children's Hospital.
She forgot that the child was there.
And tragedy struck again, 24 hours later in Beeville, after a grandmother taking care of her 9-month-old granddaughter leaves her behind, not realizing she had left her inside the hot car until the afternoon. The Corpus Christi Police Department mourned the loss of 2 of their police officers. Kyle Hicks was killed responding to a domestic disturbance call in April, and Vicente Ortiz was killed while escorting a funeral procession in May. Both fallen officers honored by the department for their service to the community.
I'm not accepting the agreement.
In May, Annabelle bar owner Amanda Talbert is charged with 2 counts of indecency with a child with sexual assault after a woman came forward in October of 2023 claiming she was approached by Talbert to have sex for $700 with an 80-year-old man back in 2007. Her trial has been pushed back to March of next year after new charges were filed in the case. She is currently out on bond.
Fortunately, victim was not able to make it.
Lake Corpus Christi becoming a dangerous location for swimmers this year as 4 people drowned.
To tell us who was hiding the vapes in our school.
And former Hamlin Middle School assistant principal Amanda Corona is arrested and charged with tampering with or fabricating physical evidence and official oppression after being accused of planting a marijuana vape pen in a student's backpack in March of 2023. Corona, who is now working for Robstown ISD, was placed on paid administrative leave while the investigation continued. For KRIS 6 News, I'm Clara Benitez Cortez.
The 6 Investigates team was hard at work in your neighborhoods in 2024. 6 Investigates is the team that looks into concerns of the neighbors across the coastal bend. From city government to law enforcement, we dig deep and make sure that the stories we bring you are the ones that lead to the changes you want to see. From Corpus Christi to Robstown to Kingsville to Taft and more, our team left no stone unturned.
Our investigation into the city of Taft began with a call from Police Chief John Landreth when his claims of excessive overtime by city employees was ignored.
City Hall, basically 3 people, have expended the overtime, budgeted overtime, that is budgeted for the entire city.
We looked into the claims ourselves. We found that former City Secretary Andrea Gomez had collected over 500 hours of overtime in a 2-month period. Overtime hours not spent at the office, but at sporting events, as social media posts revealed. Gomez was arrested, but for talking to us, Chief Landreth was put on unpaid leave.
Had you not been here and not done this?
Was brought up to you. I didn't have the text messages. I gave you the text messages.
Well, I haven't read that. I apologize.
Part of the
I
text
should.
chain, though.
Landreth returned and former city manager Candy Hubert resigned, and Gomez was indicted on 4 counts of tampering with a government record with intent to defraud. Things in Taft remained relatively quiet until October, when 6 Investigates learned that former finance director Leanne Gobin had resigned over potential misuse of funds. What initially was thought to be over $1,000 ballooned into over $30,000 in taxpayer money spent on personal expenses. Community members once again demanded answers from city officials, and so did we, but that was easier said than done. But it didn't stop our team from trying.
If you
have someone who is in charge of the city and oversees a lot of the important things. Do you think that this ordinance is important?
Thank you. Have a good day.
The criminal investigation into Gobin is still ongoing, but Hurd, Gomez, and Candy Hubert have all been criminally charged, with Landra telling us that more charges may be on the way. KRIS investigates cross paths with city officials on more than one occasion in 2024. The focus of our digging, how much money was the city spending? It began with public funds awarded to developers of Homewood Suites by Hilton, public information request deadlines that weren't met by city manager Peter Zanoni, but that didn't stop our team. When we requested public documents, the city's purchasing card policy was changed, but we still found that the 5th floor of City Hall spent more than $44,000 on local restaurants.
It's the cost of doing business in the city.
The city manager may have spoken to us regarding the P cards, but when our team began looking into events like Safe Fun Fit, getting answers from the city became much trickier. What we found is that a free fitness event hosted by the city has cost taxpayers over $200,000 since it began, with little to no oversight from the city. KRIS Investigates made sure drivers in Robstown were aware of the risks of being scammed. Our investigation was jump-started when an intern with KRIS was being overcharged by Galvan Towing. We spoke to other victims and discovered they were told repairs or storage of their vehicles would cost excessive amounts of money, well above what they could legally be charged.
He started at $425 just for storage of her vehicle being there, and on top of that, he wanted us to pay $125 to tow it away.
Since our reporting in July, Israel Galvan has been arrested and is being charged with 2 counts of theft of property. KRIS Investigates also set our sights on the race for school board in Robstown, when our team discovered one of the candidates for the Board of Trustees lied on their application and in truth was a 5-time convicted felon.
And as we proceed through the investigation, the school board, as I indicated earlier, certainly does have options.
Following our report, Gilbert Cervantes was declared ineligible.
These weren't the only cities in the coastal bend we found KRIS Investigates in this year. Hours of surveillance video and body camera footage showed the moments leading up to the death of Cynthia Garcia while in custody of the Kleberg County Sheriff's Office. The incident occurred in 2022, and the civil lawsuit filed by Garcia's mother against the Sheriff's Office and Krista Spahn is still ongoing. Our KRIS Investigates team uncovered fundraising issues involving a coastal bend business that withheld donations promised to local nonprofits. The investigation revealed that several charities never received funds raised through partnerships with the company, raising questions about where the money went. And 2024 also saw a conclusion to an investigation that began last year. Zachary Brent Bailey, the teen who posed as a physician's assistant at 2 Corpus Christi hospitals, was sentenced to 2 5-year prison terms in March. Have a tip for our KRIS Investigates team moving into the new year? You can fill out the form on our website at kristv.com.
Throughout our Veterans in Focus segment, we've highlighted not just the challenges veterans face, but the incredible stories that show the power of perseverance, service, and community. I'm Michelle Hoffman with some of 2024's highlights. From honoring fallen heroes like Hope Torres, the service dog, credited for saving a veteran's life.
Got to the point that it was a point of no return. It was there to bring me back, bring my focus back to the greater good.
To celebrating the legacy of World War II veterans like John Lay.
Bodies were piling up at the bottom of the cliff. I'm standing on the deck of the ship yelling, "Guys, they're at the top! Dig in!"
He was one of few surviving D-Day heroes living in Portland.
How many times do you think you've shared your story?
Only a couple, maybe 3. It's something you don't talk about because I cry.
A few weeks after our interview, he passed away.
I was the first to analyze these explosives.
Navy veteran Helen Southern also passed away this year, just 21 days shy of her 102nd birthday.
If you run into a bump on the road, don't stop.
Both of their stories have been a reminder of the unbreakable spirit of those who served.
The United States of America was God's gift to the world.
But our coverage wasn't limited to remembrance. This year, we put veterans in the spotlight for impacting lives in unique ways.
3, 2, 1. There we go.
Whether it was the Roaming Ronin restaurant, inspired by its owner's service in Japan, or the return of the Corpus Christi Veterans Powwow.
Corpus Christi was actually one of the largest powwows.
Veterans have shaped our community's culture.
The leadership skills that I have outshine, what I look like.
Motivated others.
He is so supportive.
And fostered a sense of belonging.
I look up to him, how he gets through things like teaching and how he kind of sees the world.
And as cherished traditions continued, like the Coastal Bend Fields of Honor, 2024 has shown how veterans remain pillars of strength in our neighborhoods.
Surprise!
And finally, this year has been a true testament to veterans helping veterans.
This is, in my opinion, the best place on earth.
Showing how their bonds of service and support continue to make a real difference.
Good job, Ray. Good job.
We can't forget to mention the story of James and Crowley Dickerson when we talk about the impact of vets helping vets.
The stories of, I was going to end my life last night, and I read your post.
James has touched so many lives with his words, and even more so through the eyes of his loyal service dog, Crowley.
We travel these roads together, just a dog and his pet human. Our journey is one of hope, never knowing where our path will take us, only knowing we were meant to travel it together.
I won a Lone Star Emmy this year by sharing the story of their powerful bond.
I have to say thank you to James and Crowley Dickerson for trusting me with their story.
But just days after we celebrated the victory, tragedy struck. James was in a terrible accident that wiped out his home and turned his world upside down.
I don't know how we lived through that.
But we recently caught up, and he tells me despite everything, he's just thankful to be alive.
This isn't going to stop us. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit.
He keeps moving forward with Crowley and a new addition by his side, Link, his new service dog in training.
He's going to be amazing.
And folks, as we all look forward to the promises of the new year, don't forget to keep the momentum going and share your story on Veterans in Focus, or make a difference by highlighting resources in your neighborhood. To send us a tip, you can call our hotline or send me a message. For this week's Veterans in Focus, I'm Michelle Hoffman, KRIS 6 News.
Braylon's quick thinking and courageous actions saved the lives of her family.
In July, neighborhood news reporter Alexis Scott introduced us to 5-year-old Braylon Ramirez. She woke up to tell her family their house was on fire. Days later, the mayor, city council, and firefighters who rushed to put the fire out honored Braylon for her heroic act.
I told you that day was a good job. You did a real good job. Keep up the good work. See ya.
Do you like to drink Dr. Pepper? I mean, do you really like to drink Dr. Pepper? In August, neighborhood news reporter Iran Hammy introduced us to the Torres family. They were visiting the Dr. Pepper Museum in Waco and decided to enter a drawing for a year's supply of Dr. Pepper. Does anybody ever really win these sweepstakes drawings? The Torreses did.
I said, what, score?
Yeah, love Dr. Pepper, so I was excited. So, how often do you guys usually have some Dr. Pepper?
Every day. But diet.
In August, the troubleshooters reported on Jocelyn Davis and how she and her sons moved into this house on Chestnut.
CCISD was about to start, and this family was on the side of the road. It was a 15-year-old boy who had his mattress on the side of Weber Road, and his mother was there. They looked like they had third-degree burns, and I wanted to make sure that, every kid has a good start to school. And they have to have a shelter over their head.
You'd never met him before?
No.
He just walked up to you?
Right.
Okay. Eric Dunches is the front man for a popular local social media blog. He set up a GoFundMe to help Davis pay the rent for the first 6 months. But Davis says she lived here for months without water and air conditioning. She wasn't working, didn't have any transportation, and her bills weren't getting paid. So Dunches tried to evict her. They wound up in Judge Tim McCoy's court.
But if you don't have an interest in the property, you don't have, and you haven't shown any evidence of right to possession of the property, so eviction's denied.
The troubleshooters were able to eventually help Davis get other housing.
Jesus, thank you for this time, and Lord, just for this crew.
Also in August, neighborhood news reporter Tony Jaramillo showed us what players from Miller and Veterans Memorial did before their big football game. They read the Bible and prayed together. These students are part of Young Life, a Christian ministry group focused on youth.
It means a lot, just showing how two, rivals could come together and be friendly and be civil with each other. It shows what kind of kids we are and what kind of mentalities we have towards the Lord.
These people didn't know one another until they saw our troubleshooter story in October. But as soon as David Soto, Darren Reynoso, Eric Noel, Tyrone Young, and his wife Ramona saw the story, they decided to follow their hearts.
The plumbing was in very, very bad condition, and I went ahead and replaced all the new waste piping, new P-traps, new water lines at no charge for the customer.
Eric Noel is a plumber. Okay, let's stop right there.
Okay.
Key phrase there, at no charge for the customer.
Correct, no charge.
Why? Why?
I was just led by the Lord and Savior to pay it forward.
Sadie Salinas first called the troubleshooters for help after she'd hired a contractor named Robert Lowy, paid him nearly $5,000 as a down payment for a room addition. He promised her he could have the job done in 2 weeks, just in time for her new baby. But Lowy didn't keep his promise, yet he blamed everything on the Salinases. Why you? Why? Yeah, that's the one we're going to help. Why?
Well, sometimes it ain't us. Sometimes it's just you get called to do certain things. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it touch you in a way, you know what I mean? It just touched you and compel you to go see what you can do.
In November, neighborhood news reporter Aaron Holly introduced us to Mark the Ring King. Steve and Tiffany Aijan were enjoying a romantic weekend getaway.
Out of nowhere, a big wave just came and snatched all 3 of our rings.
The Aijans were able to find Steve's wedding ring, but Tiffany's engagement ring and wedding band were nowhere to be found, so they returned back home to San Antonio, ringless and defeated.
There, you hear that?
Until a complete stranger heard Steve and Tiffany's cry for help.
I'll know this is a quarter before I dig it.
I'm not in it for the money. It's all about the return and all the emotions that go with it.
So we hope we've brightened your day even just a little bit. From all of us here at KRIS 6 News to all of you, happy holidays. I'm Andy Lascano.
Weather in South Texas can change in an instant, which is exactly why your KRIS 6 weather experts keep you up to date all the time on air and online. But it's time to look back at 2024 for this year's weather wrap.
Not snow, but some ice off of my windshield.
The first big weather event of 2024 was some wintry mix happening across the coastal bend. On January 14th, Arctic air moved down into the coastal bend, and on the 15th, Corpus Christi International Airport recorded a trace of snow, or just a hint of it. It's the highest ever, and it really was a combination of freezing drizzle and ice pellets. Things quickly began to heat up as we moved into the spring of 2024. In fact, May, our warmest on record here in Corpus Christi, with an average temperature of more than 83 degrees. But the summer heat continued, interrupted only briefly by the beginning of hurricane season. The coastal bend was directly impacted by the first 2 storms of hurricane season 2024, the first being Tropical Storm Alberto. The storm offered plenty of rainfall, which caused flooding in places like Alice.
Getting into this harvest season, most of our farms got at least 5 to 7 inches, so we will not have the time to go in there and harvest anything in between if we do get hit with this other storm.
Alberto also caused problems with storm surge, which impacted Padre Island. Surveying the damage, the National Weather Service concluded that not 1, but 2 tornadoes hit the Rockport area.
You can see a few of these trees if you go back farther here. Just kind of the tops of them are twisted. They had a lot of branches down, but not a lot of significant structural damage.
The second storm of the season, Beryl, was one for the record books, the earliest Category 5 hurricane on record in the Atlantic Basin. Now, this one made a close pass to the coastal bend, ultimately turning to the north at the last moment. But that doesn't mean that folks weren't getting ready and taking the storm seriously. One of our coastal bend weather watchers watchers and Sinton neighbors made some beautiful art out of storm preparations.
We have put a lot of work into this house to get it looking really nice, and the idea of putting just plain plywood over our windows, I wasn't okay with that. So I was like, let's paint them.
As the throes of summer continued through August, tragedy hit the coastal bend not once, but twice. 2 hot car deaths. The first, a child left in the backseat of a vehicle found at Tom Brown Middle School the very next day.
Upon arrival, one of the officers made contact with the grandmother who was holding a 9-month child in her arms.
A child left in the backseat of a car in Beeville succumbed to heat-related illness. August also marked 800 days under water restrictions for Corpus Christi water customers. We began our series Water Watch to break down the science behind our water shortage and the developing drought in 2024. As it stands, 2024 was trending behind on yearly rainfall by about 4 inches. For the first time in coastal bend history, our combined capacity at Choke Canyon and Lake Corpus Christi fell below 20%. On December 16th, Corpus Christi Water enacted Stage 3 water restrictions for the first time.
And of course, we can't forget you, our neighbors, our eyes and ears out in the community, our Coastal Bend Weather Watchers. This Facebook group was started back in 2021 and since then has grown to more than 23,000 members just a few months back. So 2024 has been a pretty incredible year here across the Coastal Bend weather-wise, and we definitely want to send a special thank you to all of you who contribute to our wonderful, wonderful community. All right, from all of your KRIS 6 weather experts, I want to say thank you for a wonderful 2024, and I'm excited to see what we can do in 2025. Happy New Year.
Hey everyone, I'm Larissa Liska. Winning a UIL state championship as a team is extremely tough to do, and the Coastal Bend was blessed with 4 state titles this year, 3 in the spring and 1 in the fall. 2 track teams from the same program, plus a softball team that defended their title. And then in the fall, the first volleyball Coastal Bend team to win since Freer in 1994. Let's check out the 2024 state champions.
That this team just has a really unique connection. Out of all my 4 years, I've never experienced the family. It's like the biggest family. Everyone wants each other to do so well that it's like losing's not an option.
For the Coastal Bend, it's a huge thing. From all of South Texas, I think it's been something that these people, have rallied around us, and I think it's been such an inspiration to people to be able to come together as a community. And so for them, they get to leave their legacy for what can come still in South Texas, and people sometimes discount us. So hopefully now we can put ourselves back on the map.
It means a lot just to be to represent the Coastal Bend and everyone out there, and we did it for South Texas, we did it for our community, we did it for Calallen, so woo!
1, 2, 3, woo! It's not easy kind of breaking the ceiling and getting something like this done, but baseball's done it, and I want it to be the same for softball, because the culture of baseball, softball in South Texas is big.
Now this is our time, no line, there's no mistaking. We own the rise, the champion is in the making. Cause ain't no holding back, we put it on the map. You know it ain't no cap.
I was talking to my friends, pretty much my brothers. We're gonna celebrate right now and hopefully win the state meet and then cry when we leave. Because it's been a great 4 years with them, and I wouldn't do it with nobody else with them.
Also, congratulations to Annapolis Christian Academy football and volleyball on winning the Texas Christian Athletic League state championship. I'm Larissa Liska, KRIS 6 Sports.
Thank you for watching. Have a great one.